Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mr. Alex Songo. I am the grade 7 technology teacher. Yesterday, unfortunately, we experienced some challenges with regards to my computer, unfortunately, freezing and therefore taking me out of Zoom, as well as the network challenges that I had. As a result, we have decided with Thiari to actually start the lesson from yesterday so that we touch on whatever aspect might have been missed because we do not want to take any chances. Ladies and gentlemen, just to be clear, tomorrow is going to be our last technology lesson. The reason for that is because, like we did with natural sciences, term 1, we will be finished with the syllabus. However, that does not mean that the digital school will not be continuing. Of course, it's going to continue all the way through the lockdown itself and, of course, beyond. We are still communicating, of course, with the seniors with regards to where do we go from here with regards to natural sciences as well as technology. So what might happen is that we might have to do work for term 1. And the reason for that is simply because most of us have possibly forgotten term 1. And there's no one that blames you for that. So I think that's what we'll be doing as of next week. We will look at natural sciences, term 1, because tomorrow, like I'm saying, we will complete the syllabus officially for technology grade 7, term 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently sitting on 19 participants. Thank you so much for everyone that is here. And thank you so much for the people that are always here. I truly always appreciate your presence. I'm speaking about your Keandris, your Devonte, your Tiamo, Tyrone, Koshi, ladies and gentlemen, Kia, Joanna. I can see a lot of you are actually on the chat box. Thank you so much. Let us keep the conversation going throughout the lesson. Welcome, Hao. Thank you so much for being here once more so that we can be able to learn as much as we can and we don't have a situation wherein we are preaching to you and people are getting bored. So let's utilize the chat box to make our lesson interactive and interesting like we've been doing. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we were meant to start with the corrections. And by corrections, I mean in each and every lesson that we do, we want to have an activity at the end of each lesson so that we can test for understanding of whatever content was learned in that lesson. So in the previous activity prior to yesterday, by that I mean on Tuesday, we gave you this activity that is currently on your screen. And what we were speaking about is triangulation and reinforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly revise what these two terms mean in technological terms, if I may. Triangulation is the addition of a crosspiece or a member in a shape or in an object so that you strengthen that object or you make it stronger. Reinforcements, ladies and gentlemen, is also an extension of triangulation. Reinforcement is simply also strengthening of objects, of course, using different skills or different tactics. I want to start with the triangle that is there. I know that it's a triangle, and most of us are probably thinking, why are we triangulating a triangle? We are triangulating it, ladies and gentlemen, simply because we want to make the structure of that triangle more strong and, of course, more stabilized. So what do? We add a cross piece or a member. This is what we've added, and therefore we have two triangles. We add another cross piece that goes in a different direction. Then what does it mean now? It means that we find ourselves with 1, 2, 3 triangles. We add another, and obviously the number of triangles, ladies and gentlemen, increases from 2, 4, and 6. So all of these shapes that you see here are triangles, and that's what triangulation or reinforcement is about. We go to the second shape, the rectangular there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you move or you add a cross piece from the top corner as I'm moving the cursor, you go all the way down there, you find yourself with 2 triangles. Remember, each and every time you're adding a member or a cross piece, you want to have a situation where you create a triangular shape. So when you start to add from here all the way to there, you end up with how many? 4. You add from here to all the way to there, you end up with 6, and of course from here all the way down there, and therefore you find yourself with 2, 4, 6, 8 triangular shapes. Remember, each and every member that you add must always triangulate. It must create a triangulation type of a shape, which therefore reinforces or makes your shape very strong. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to number 2. So what are we talking about? Number 2. In number 2, we were speaking about the completion of that table. And remember, we are completing that table because we want you, excuse me for that, let me move that real quick. We want you to state what these different parts that are reinforcement parts, what type of force do they actually exert on the telephone, on the cell phone tower itself. So when you talk about struts, they create a compression type of a force. What do we mean by compression? Is when things are pushed together, as I'm moving my hands in the same similar direction, and therefore you are squashing something. When you are squashing whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, you are therefore making it smaller. If I take something, I'm quickly looking for something that I can take. Unfortunately, I am not finding something. Sorry about that. So if you take anything and you squash it, you bring it together in the same direction, you are compressing it because you're squashing it. What is tension on the other hand? Tension is when you pull things different direction. So struts, they actually exert a force of compression. Tie beams and guys, remember we said guys are reinforcement cables that are found in a lot of linear type of cell phone towers. What do I mean by linear for those that may not understand? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we said one of the ways that you create a reinforcement is to widen the base of a cell phone tower. What does it mean? The bottom of that tower needs to be wide in how it is, creating a sort of a triangular shape, as you can see here. The base here is wide, and we used a lot of examples. And we said in sports, when you want to not be easily pushed, you open up your legs, you widen them, and therefore you maintain stability using your legs. So tie beams and guys are a great example of that. We are currently sitting on 19 participants. Thank you so much to everybody that is here. We truly, truly appreciate. What is going on, guys? I see some people are not happy. All right, noted. Okay, I am simply reading your messages. Sorry about that. Yes, I'm also wondering where Tiana is, but I'm assuming that she is coming. I really, really appreciate this because this actually means we have created a type of a relationship or a type of a family. And as a result, when people are not here, we immediately recognize. I think Tiana is hopefully on her way. Okay, so as part of the previous day's revision on the lesson, by that I mean to look at the important aspects of whatever it is that we're doing. The first thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I introduced on Tuesday was to speak about the force of gravity. And we said the force of gravity is the force that brings everything that is thrown up down. So basically, if I take my wallet, which I have here, and I throw it up, it does not remain sky, it comes down because it's being pulled by the force of gravity. However, when you go into space, there is no force of gravity, and therefore that's the only place in the universe rather where there isn't a force of gravity. Of course, when we talk about planet Earth and beyond in term 4, we will obviously investigate that. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue. Like I said, people are here. Let us work with the people that are here. Thank you so much for everybody that is here. So let's look at columns. We said columns are vertical. Vertical simply means that something is coming from up to down or from down to up. And these structures hold the weight of the structure above. So all of this weight is actually held by the columns. And then we spoke about guys, which I spoke about in the previous activity. I said guys anchor or they further stabilize the cell phone tower to the ground. I made a natural science example by using roots. Roots, not only do they transport minerals and soil to the plant, but they anchor the plant itself to the soil. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the things that we are talking about. We hope you understand and we hope this is working for you and this is assisting you. I'm very happy that the network today is better and that my computer is not misbehaving. So let us continue and let's hope that it goes like that. So previous lessons also revision, we spoke about triangulation as I gave you an example here, and we said triangulation is simply an addition of members in a structure that create a triangular shape which further makes or strengthens the structure. So that is what we spoke about on Tuesday. We don't spoke about pylons. Ladies and gentlemen, we said pylons are tall frame structures that carry heavy loads. We are going to touch on pylons today when we evaluate cell phone towers. We then spoke about mine head gears, and we said the word mine and head gives it away, and of course gears, because that implies this mine, and the head, it means it's at the top of what? Of the mine itself, and therefore there are gears or wheels, if you may, and these are able to be used to transport equipment and anything that might be needed in the mining industry. So that is being taken to the ground from outside, of course. We then spoke about reinforcing or reinforcement techniques. We spoke about columns, which I gave in the previous slide, and we said these are the vertical structures. We then spoke about guys, and those are cables. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, when we are writing a test or an exam situation, you will be assessed by this through true or false. So they might say to you, reinforcement techniques include columns as well as guys, etc. True or false? The answer there would, of course, be true. Or they might say to you, the addition of columns and guys, what is that called? And therefore you must give the technological term, which is reinforcement or reinforcing. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you understand. We have highlighted these words so that you pay close attention. So on yesterday's lesson, like I said, unfortunately, before I was bombed out of Zoom, this is what we were speaking about. We were evaluating telephone systems. By telephone systems, we are looking at both the landline as well as the mobile telephone itself. So we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of both landlines as well as mobile telephones. Advantages are everything that is good, everything that is positive, and everything that we like about something. Disadvantages, unfortunately, are the opposite of that, are everything that we hate, is everything that is negative or bad or shortcoming. So we are going to assess that so that we can see, because remember, ladies and gentlemen, technology is always about finding solution so that you can be able to do new ways and discover or improve the current things that we have. Welcome, Kia. Kia has already been here. Thank you so much. Tyrone, what this is for. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue. We have a very nice video for you. Mushuri, don't worry, you are not too late. We have actually not started with today's lesson. Joanna, let us all continue and let's pay attention. All right, so these are just some of the questions that I want you to think about as we go into our lessons. So what is the difference between a landline as well as a mobile cell phone or a mobile phone or telephone, if you may? What is the difference between the two? The second question is, have you ever seen or used a landline? Anyway, have you ever seen it, maybe just with your eyes, or have you actually touched one and used it? Number three, what is the best thing that you like about your mobile telephone? So those are just some of the questions that I want us to think about. Remember what I said. We are evaluating, which means we are assessing the good and the bad of landlines as well as mobile telephones. So let's start with landlines, ladies and gentlemen. So we are saying landlines use pylons. Remember, the pylons are tall frame structures that are used to hold heavy loads. So this is a pylon, and this pylon is holding the cables that are actually transporting the network signals of telephones. And obviously these are suspended up in the air because remember, that's where most of the network or good network coverage is found. So landline telephones are mainly used in our homes or in our offices, in the school admin block, in hospitals, or any other office that you might have found. They use landline telephones. These are usually wireful. What does that mean? It means that they have a wire or they are connected to a cord. So that is why then when we are using them, we are unfortunately limited to movement. So let's look at the advantages as well as disadvantages of the landline. Number one, reliability. When something is reliable, it means that no matter what, you know that it will not disappoint you. So these are reliable in terms of the network itself. They've got very, very good signal. So each and every time you are using them, you are guaranteed you are not going to be struggling with network. The second advantage is affordability. Affordability, if you did not know, simply implies that something is affordable, or if you like, it's very cheap. The other part of that is the disadvantages. Like I said, disadvantages means that things are bad. It means that they are negative or there are problems with whatever. The first disadvantage is cable theft. Cable theft meaning that people steal the wires that actually transport the network. Why? Because they're mainly made up of copper or steel, which is rare, and as a result, they want to sell them and, of course, get money. Ladies and gentlemen, that is illegal. I need to emphasize that. There was a campaign that was driven by Eskom, and that campaign was called Izinyoka Nyoka. That campaign simply was asking the community to report any of stealing cables or stealing things that are actually connecting our devices. So if you can check on the internet and you Google Izinyoka Nyoka, you will see what they were actually talking about. Very, very bad. Now, another thing that is a disadvantage is lack of mobility. Remember what I said, because landlines are connected to wires. You cannot move from one place to another freely. So if this, for example, is found in Dad's study or it's found somewhere in the bedroom, you cannot be able to answer or call someone from the bedroom because the wire limits you from doing that. So of course, depending on how long or how short, the movement therefore is very much affected. However, ladies and gentlemen, let us also remember, in the current landlines, they are not connected to wires. They look like this. So this would be the charging port. So basically you can take this landline telephone itself and speak. You can move up and down as much as you want. But again, they are limited in terms of range. You cannot move too far because the network is connected very close to wherever these are. So in your movement, again, you cannot go beyond whatever range has been set out. The other disadvantage is that the charges here are on the basis of location. So the further the person you're calling is, the more expensive it is. So if you want to call Durban and you are actually in Gauteng, it is going to cost you a lot of money. So ladies and gentlemen, those are what we're speaking about with regards to the evaluation of landline telephones. Okay, there are questions there? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try to focus. I understand that most of us want to know which schools we go to. Welcome, Megan. Thank you so much for being here. We want to get to know each other, but let us remember it's important for us to focus because this is actually, in fact, still a lesson. So let's afford it the respect that it deserves. All right. So let's look at mobile telephones. Mobile or mobility, in the true English sense of the word, it means moving from one place to another freely. So mobile telephones are simply cell phones or what we call devices in this day and age, as I'm holding up my cell phone. So now these ones, ladies and gentlemen, already, they have a range of uses, which we are already excited to speak about. But firstly, let's understand the technicalities of how these work. These are connected through a cellular network system. And networks are simply what I've put in bold inside the parenthesis there. So you've got your MTN, you've got your Vodacom, you've got your Telkom, and of course, the new Rain mobile network. So these are connected to that through a SIM card, and that SIM card enables your device to be able to reach the network of a cell phone tower. So these ones, as you can see, they use pylons, which are the ones that carry the cables that have the signals. However, with the cell phones, they use the cell phone towers, which are connected to different types of networks. And the networks, of course, we use SIM cards, which we put inside our cell phones, and therefore you are able to get radio waves wherever or to your nearest cell phone tower. So this is the difference between the two. So let's look at the advantages or the good about mobile telephones. The first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that they are an easy way of communication. By that, I mean a lot of people have this. And also they are an easy way of communication. Why? Because they enable different communication applications to be downloaded on whatever device. So you've got your WhatsApps, you've got your emails, you've got your Skype, you've got your Facebook, etc. Enable, and of course, they diversify the communication aspect of how we communicate and how we speak using mobile or cell phones. The second thing is they do not have long distance charges. So unlike landlines, when you call someone, it's not based on how far that person is. It's based on the time. By time, I mean, they will tell you that you are charged per second, per minute, or per hour. The third advantage is the safety element. By safety, what do we mean? If you find yourself in an emergency and you've got a telephone or a cell phone, you are able to call and ask for help with wherever you are. And of course, the popular 112, which is the emergency number that is free on all our cell phones. The fourth advantage is its multi-purpose in how it works. What does it mean? It's got a camera, meaning that you can record and you can take whatever videos that you want and share with your friends and family. One. Number two, it's got access to the internet, which opens a wide array of possibilities of what you can do. So these are the four advantages of a cell phone or a mobile telephone. What are the disadvantages, however? The disadvantages is that they are disruptive, which means that they affect how we focus. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can see right now, because remember, our laptops are actually part of examples of what we might call mobile devices. And as you are seeing right now, people are not really focusing, some of them. They are asking each other questions which are personal. Why? Because they are being disrupted by what? By cell phones or devices. A lot of parents always complain about this. During dinner meals or during lunch, you will find that out of 5 people, 4 are on their phone. So that's very disruptive, ladies and gentlemen, and of course affects how we communicate and how we speak as individuals. The second thing which affects safety is that people or thieves are constantly looking out to steal the latest cell phones. So it means that they are prone to theft, and obviously that affects the element of safety because you might be hurt when someone just wants the cell phone itself. The third disadvantage, ladies and gentlemen, is that you've got a lot of network problems here. By network problems, what do we mean? If the weather is bad, a lot of us will be complaining about the network problem. Or a certain network does not have a cell phone tower nearby, and therefore the network is always horrible. And we have a lot of experiences with these. Of course, we are not allowed to mention certain networks because that would not be actually good. The fourth disadvantage is the maintenance aspect. By maintenance, what do we mean? A cell phone constantly needs to be charged. Remember, it's not always connected to a power source. What does it mean? The battery runs out and therefore you must charge it. And also, they need constant updating, particularly with our Android devices, if I may call them, because those ones will tell you that there's a software that update that is needed. And as a result, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of our data is therefore taken. All right, let us continue. I hope we all understand what it is that we are doing. Let me look and see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any questions. I hope we all understand. Remember, these questions you can be asked in an exam or in a test situation. So I have a video that I want to play that will tell us the history or the story of how networks were actually, the cell phones rather, the evolution of the telephone systems. So I want to play that video for us so that we can be able to understand this in more detail. So bear with me as I share the screen. Please tell me on the chat box if you can see and if you can hear the audio of the video itself. Sorry about that, guys. I understand that the sound is not really clear, but if you see, they are showing us the different types of telephone systems. The most important thing to do is to look at the pictures itself so that we can understand. I think that's the most important aspect, because in the background, there's not much important information. Like this one, they are showing us 1888. So this is the telephone system that was used that year. So don't worry much about the sound if it's giving you a problem. And in 1890, this was the telephone system. So ladies and gentlemen, I think you can see how far we've come in terms of our telephone systems. So let's focus on the video itself, on the visuals. The candlestick phone and ringer. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, imagine how long ago this was. And this was in 1900. So that's 1926, the Western Electric A1. So now, as you can see, the telephone systems were trying to be modernized in how they are. So that's 1937, ladies and gentlemen. (1938), as we can see. So basically not much change. So this was used as a business phone. So can you see that we have not even gotten to the mobile telephone systems? 1949, I've seen these ones around. Imagine you had to move each and every number here. The automatic electric 880, the first speaker phone, 1958. I'm sure a lot of the girls would love this one, the color pink. That is the night light phone. And this one, of course, I think some of us might have seen this one. Saw it in some old office long time ago. 1964. Imagine this was the first flip phone. And that is what was called the first dial trim line. The first video phone. That was in 1974. (1980), first commercial cordless phone. Imagine, in 1980. That's when the first cordless phone was actually made. Remember Garfield, the cartoon? Very old, Devonte. Joanna says she can't believe it. I also, the first time I watched this video, I was actually so shocked as well. But it's nice to see the evolution of technology and to see how far we've come. That's 1984 right now on our screens. (1985), imagine the Gambi phone as it's called. (1991), the first digital answering machine. What does that mean? Voicemails. 1992, remember Star Trek, the movie? This is the phone that was made to commemorate Star Trek. 1994, remember our first democratic elections? That was the phone that was discovered that year. So that's 1995 now on our screens. Only now phones are connected to the internet, 1995. This is 2002, those cordless wireless landlines I spoke about with answering machines. 2005, the Skype Wi-Fi phone. Exactly, Kushi. Technology has developed so much. Now, I hope the wow means that you are surprised in a good way and that you are impressed. And I believe that the class of learners that we have here are going to develop the cell phones that we have into something extremely beautiful. Look at that. Look at this, the eclipse. How beautiful is the shape of that? The boomerang. Joanna, you hate Star Trek, sorry. 2017. So at least we are getting closer and closer to 2020 in terms of the development of the telephone system. Look at this. So from old to new. What we are using now to communicate, Zoom, that's 2020. Absolutely incredible, ladies and gentlemen. We have truly come far. All right. Now, I hope you can see how far and how the telephone systems have developed. We have truly, truly come far, ladies and gentlemen, and it's important for us to recognize and to see the progression. I want to share the screen of the PowerPoint right now so that we can go back to the lesson itself. All right. I want to share the PowerPoint of the lesson so that we can see. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want us to do as an activity. I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a lot. So these are the scenarios that I'm giving you. I'm giving you 5 scenarios. I want you to use what we have learned about landlines as well as mobile phones so that we can be able to decide on each scenario to say what is the best telephone system to use. So number 1, is lost at the mall and wants to find which shop her parents are in. What will Amu use? Will Amu use the landline, or Amu will use the mobile phone? Remember, she is at the mall. So study that sentence clearly, evaluate it. That is also a very nice way that they like in our exams as well as in our tests. Evaluate. So we want to familiarize ourselves with how we ask certain questions. Number 2, Sarai's teacher wants to call her mother from school, discuss her school's performance. So Sarai's teacher wants to call her parent so that they can tell them about how she is doing in the term. Remember, Sarai's teacher is at school. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just highlighting some things that will assist us so that we can be able to make those decisions to say to use a landline or a mobile cell phone. So you simply tick on each one. Number C, Tyrone is on his way to school and wants to check what time it is. Remember, Tyrone is on his way to school, so he's possibly in a transport. It might be a car, it might be a bus. We are not told. So what will Tyrone use so that he can be able to check what time it is so that he can decide whether he is late or he is early? Number D, Tiana wants to call a cousin who is in another country and wants to save money. So what will Tiana use to call the cousin? Remember, in the notes, we spoke about long distance calls. We also spoke about duration calls for both landlines as well as mobile cell phones. Number E, Kia wants to Google how to make a cell phone tower in class. So Kia is in class and the teacher is talking about cell phone towers. Kia wants to Google quickly so that she can be able to decide how do you actually make a cell phone tower. So I'm going to leave that there. Ladies and gentlemen, there is about 10 minutes left. So please let us take those down or screenshot, or of course, go to the YouTube channel for African Teen Geeks and look at this lesson again so that you do this activity and we can be able to discuss it tomorrow. I hope you understand and I hope people are taking things down. Absolutely amazing, Palisa. Couldn't agree more. We truly, truly have come far. And this subject, technology, is simply about that, to assess and check the development so that we can be able to understand where we are. All right. I'm going to leave that there for a minute, and then I'm going to obviously go into the next slide. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are here again tomorrow at 12 in the afternoon. Please make sure that you come and that you join us so that we can have our last technology term 2 lesson together. Remember, I said we have completed the syllabus. We should be proud. We've done that for the past 2 weeks. We have all worked extremely hard. So tomorrow we are going to focus solely on the cell phone tower itself, which is supposed to be done by yourselves for about 70 marks. Remember the PET that we do each and every term in technology. So we need to do that. I used a lot of people's names just as examples. I did that, ladies and gentlemen, because remember, we are always here together. So I thought it would be nice for me to use names of people that are always joining our classes instead of using names that are coming from the top of my head. I'm really hoping that has not offended us and that is not a problem. I just thought it would be interesting to use names of people that we are familiar with in our lessons. That is why we did that. All right. So these are the websites that I got most of the videos from. These are the links where you can check this. Remember, you can access these links using the African Teen Geeks website, where you can find this lesson on PDF, and you can therefore click on each and every link, like this one, www.ukuqonda.org.za. Like I said on the previous lessons from last week, this one is a nice technology booklet from term 1 to term 4. Very good, ladies and gentlemen. It's KEBS compliant. It was developed by the Sasol Foundation. I vouch for it. Download it in PDF, have it in your cell phones. Remember, we said one of the advantages of cell phones is they're multi-purpose, meaning that you can download and have something and study at the comfort of your own home or at the mall or as you're waiting for your friends. And these ones are simply the videos. So you can, of course, have a look at these. So tomorrow, what are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? We are looking at the PET. We are looking at how to make a cell phone tower. But we are going to do that by starting to revise the technological steps. Remember, each and every term, we must do the technological steps or processes. So all 5 of them, think about them tonight or in the afternoon. We will discuss these, but focusing on how we will use them to make the cell phone tower, which is an assessment for 70 marks. That is a lot of marks. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shanti Songo on, of course, Facebook. You can find us at African Teen Geeks on all the social media platforms, at Izora, at DBE_SA, at Sasol_SA. And remember, when you invite your friends or tell them about this great initiative, to always hashtag Foundation, hashtag STEM Champions, and of course, hashtag Lockdown is School. I see that there is a flash. Let me have a look. Yes, enjoy. I understand you guys have got English coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much. It was a nice lesson. I truly, truly enjoyed it. Take care and see you tomorrow at 12 in the afternoon.